And it's the loneliest number that you'll ever do. What's up, everybody? I'm the Shadow Master, and this is Sunshine here. We are going to talk about what to do before you go into the light. So basically, when you die, you have two choices. You can either go into the light, or you can turn around and turn your back towards the light. So the light will basically be giving you it's like it's your spirit guide. It'll be like, you'll see your family. It's loving. It's like, there'll be calm voices, and it just, when you're going into the light, it's just serene and it's peaceful and it's absolute bliss. But, a lot of people have been bringing up, what were you saying, Sunshine? People saying that, people are saying like, well, what happens when you go into the dark?
Right. Instead of stepping into the light and potentially following reincarnation over and over again, stepping into the dark instead.
Have you ever stepped into the dark?
So, with my experience back in the early 2000s, overdosing from heroin, basically what happened was I lost consciousness and I experienced seeing the light, but it seemed like it was really far off in the distance. And for some reason, I wasn't drawn to it. I felt like it was very familiar, but I turned around and I embraced the opposite, which was just this nothingness. So I can't say that it was dark or anything. It was just absence of everything.
Now, did you have like any feelings, like feeling happy? Were you able to like channel into different feelings?
So there was no real feelings anymore. There wasn't happiness. There wasn't anger. There wasn't any of the duality in any form, except there was one thing I did notice, which was a feeling of being there for so long and eternal boredom.
So would you say there was no pain?
There's no pain. There's no pain, but there was no duality at all. There was no type of
Just kind of just
valuing.
endless, vast, like when is this going to end?
It was just like, geez, did I pick the right thing? What is this? What is hell? That was the first thing I started thinking. Like, if I'm in this place where there's no pain and it's just kind of boring, what would hell have been?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, could you see people around you?
I could feel energy sources all around me, but there was no communication between me and anyone else, and or I'd say varying frequencies. There was no transmitting any information to each other.
So
Just
it's
they were
just
there.
you, yourself, and nothing.
Yeah, but there was an awareness of there being others there. That it wasn't like an experience of this is all one thing with no separateness at all. You could still very much feel the separate fractals of energy and varying forms all around me. I had an awareness of a source energy, but it was not connected to it in any kind of way, and just in nothing, complete nothingness.
Now, at what point did you realize that when you go into the light, you're actually going into hell?
So it was throughout this life that I started seeing things after reading through some philosophies and embracing thoughts of like hell being the version of our mentally created own hell, you know? So how I think about it, the things that affect me the worst are my own doing in creating my own hell here on earth as I live. As so I perceive and see the world around me, it becomes either my own heaven or my own hell.
So basically, based off your internal thoughts, when you have a thought, you're putting that into like existence. And then when you tie an emotion to that thought, you're putting it into the quantum field.
True.
And I always tell people, they're always like, man, like I have all these, like, for example, I knew this person, they're like, I have all these stalkers. I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm arguing with my sister all the time. I have no money. I'm really like my life is just not so good. Like I cry myself to sleep every night. Like I'm so depressed that, you know, um, like I just have to fall asleep. I'm just so depressed. I just can't deal. I'm just gonna just go to sleep, or use drugs. I mean, I use drugs. I used to just I take my emotions. I'm like, I don't want to feel anymore. I'm just gonna use drugs, and it would be that escape. But the thing is, it's not drugs that make your life bad or worse. It's really your choices and your thoughts. If you have thoughts that are like, I love my mom, or I love my friend, or I love my life today. Oh, I love doing this job. If you're mindful and you like have a gratitude for everything, then that's when your whole reality shifts.
This is so true. Like, this is huge, brother.
You know what's crazy, man? I can really prove that Earth is hell.
Oh, yeah, how's that?
Think about it. There's pain, there's suffering. Not only is there like physical pain that we can feel. Like, say you fall off a bike, or someone murders someone, and you get stabbed. I mean, you feel that pain, but and you bleed and stuff like that. But like, there's emotional pain too, and the emotional pain sometimes is worse than the physical pain. And on top of that, you got wars going on. You got people stealing from you. You got big corporations. You got poverty. People are losing their families. Custody battles. I mean, it's people get depressed. I mean, that's why we feel sadness. That's why we feel anger. That's why we feel upset. All these are lower chakra emotions, and that can really just prove that Earth is hell. In these wars, and you got terrorists using human children as body shields. That's insane.
It's all perception and perspective, right? Just because I can't comprehend something doesn't mean that it doesn't have a purpose. This is where it's kind of I'm coming to in this life right now. There's atrocities out there that are unspeakable to even think of, but I have to believe there's some kind of divine plan to everything. Kind of see it the way it presents itself in numbers throughout our history and throughout theology and all the different traditions. Um, so it's pretty important to me to use my way, I think, and my perception to create the best day and best possible life I can have, thus creating like my own heaven. Through my own perception, I can choose to dwell in the lower frequencies, the lower chakras, and really manifest a lot of negativity and a lot of pain in my life. I've been great at it for so many years. Um, but now it's just the focus of the work being the change I want in the world on a daily basis and putting my effort into helping others.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that, because when I think about it, you know what, man, I think you're really right on this when you talk about perception. Because for so long time, I perceived my reality as like, man, like I'm depressed, man. This bipolar is getting the best of me. Why do I keep ending up in these hospitals? Man, I keep using drugs, to make the sadness go away, man. I use drugs to mask my emotions, and then I'd be harming people, and people be walking out of my life, my family members, my friends, everyone would be leaving out of my life, and the person I was losing the most was myself. And on top of that, when I changed my perception, where I was like, what, I really love my job, or I really love what I'm doing, or I love the food I'm eating, or I love my body today. It took I mean, my perception was a work in progress, man. It took me about 10 years to really develop self-love and self-understanding and self-healing and like self-acceptance, like radical acceptance for your life. And you know radical acceptance, if you were to think about it, is basically, I am here, I am now, I radically accept that this, and I love myself for being in this moment. I love everyone around me. I love everything. And if you put that into the quantum field, that all this love, if you live through your heart chakra and you start tapping into these upper frequencies, when you start tapping up into these upper frequencies, you're putting all this good shit into the quantum field, man. Like you're tapping into love, you're tapping into happiness, you're tapping into abundance. I mean, that's how you create heaven on earth, because when you start tapping into those frequencies, your reality starts shifting, your family starts loving you more, they're more proud of you. Once frequency starts shifting, like as you raise your vibrations, it kind of comes to the simulation theory, realistically. I mean,
I definitely agree with you completely on what you're saying here. Um, Thinking about it in the context of the Hermetic principles, how we start seeing them interact in our daily lives, making sense of how they interact with each other, like the law of correspondence, rhythm, gender, all these
law of
principles,
vibration.
law of vibrations, all the laws of attraction, like all these things broken down into where we start seeing them and how they fit together. So I look at it like, the principle of rhythm. I was speaking years back with someone about it looking like a wave, right? Like you're on the ocean and there's waves coming in, and you see that this one's about to break, and you see this one coming in to make a new one. So letting go of that old one that's about to break and make its change, and grasping onto the new, like it really is like make a huge difference engaging these little relationships that they have with each other, so that I don't get stuck so long in one thing or another.
I think another one of the hermetic principles is the law of polarity,
For sure.
which also goes in with the law of rhythm, because there is polarity to everything. It's just the degrees of separation. So basically, it's about the law of rhythm is about the ebb and flows in life. Yes, our moods are constantly shifting. I mean, everyone has mental illness in a way. We're just all undiagnosed.
Facts.
You know,
Facts.
some of us just know how to handle our moods and behavior a little bit better. End the stigma. Mental health awareness. We all have mental health. Let's be realistic here. you know,
True stories.
the law of rhythm. You know, you're gonna have your ups, but like you're gonna have your downs. And when you're having your downs, what I like to do when I'm having my downs, I like to take a time to do like a meditation and reflect and be like, why am I feeling this way? Why, like, what happened in my day that could have led up to this? What are the course of actions? I think about my downs. Basically, every situation, it's 5% the situation, 95% how I act toward the situation. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Putting all my effort into myself now and seeing that I'm responsible for what I have a day look like. You know what I mean? Like it's such a big thing. I just stay focused on that little piece of getting back to like what's homeostasis, right? What's balance? Because that's what it really is. We're out of balance. I've been out of balance for years. I've had all kinds of issues going through drug addiction and just other mental health things. Um, but if I can just like stay in the moment, if I can just stay grounded in that moment, um, and take and put a positive outlook on it instead of just like branding it automatically the most horrible thing happening, which, catastrophizing used to be something I was great at, playing the victim's role for many years. And it really didn't get me anywhere.
Oh man, I used to catastrophize all the time. I was like the biggest catastrophe. I was like, I'd go to the hospital. I remember I got to the hospital and I was like, man, I called up my mom. I was like, I'm never gonna get the fuck out of this place. Like, I'm gonna be here forever. Like, how could you guys fucking do this to me? Like, how could you like show up in probate court and say I need more help than I? Like, fuck you guys. You're stealing my money. You guys are stealing my shit. Like, and the reality was they were doing the opposite of it. They were
trying to help you, kid.
they were saving my money. They were putting it in the bank. They were trying to help me get in touch back with reality.
But that's the problem is when we get so far out of touch with reality. I mean, what is reality? Reality is what we create, right? It's the creation. So we could live in the hell where you're talking about being completely out of control, not being able to tell that the people that love you the most are out to hurt you. And it's an easy place to get to when we lose that balance, that homeostasis. So it's just, amazing to check in every day, try to stay reality based in my thinking, you know, and and stay open to the people around me and what they're telling me from what they're hearing from me because the people around us are the first ones to see us when we're starting to have an issue. That's always the truth.
I agree, and I'm a mama's boy. Raise my hand. I'm a mama's boy. I call my mom every day, sometimes twice, maybe 3 times a day, just to check in, because I know the person that loves me the most in the world is like my mother. Now I know I'm blessed. Not everyone has a mother, but like if you don't have anyone to reach out to, like put a message in the comments, like anything, like just reach out to us. We'll get to every comment, like as soon as we can. We'll reply to every comment and we'll give you like so much love and anything. Just like interact with us and like if you hear anything you like on this podcast, if you have any thoughts or how it if how this podcast could change your life, just throw it in the comments. Basically what we have is a call to action.
The call to action is become responsible for your own growth and healing through making new communities and forging new friendships and just going above the bar you set for yourself every day, just a little bit. We can all become much healthier versions of ourselves, thus raising the frequency of our entire world, creating a better and far more humanitarian world around us. Everyone deserves to have the best. I don't want to be the person on the playground that has the best toy and nobody gets to play with it anymore.
And I think I agree with you.